Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is Alex of Coyote Star Astrology, and this is my video on the new moon solar eclipse in Gemini coming in on June 10th, 2021, which is a Thursday here in California. However, please adjust for your current location on the planet as that time and date may change. How is everyone doing out there? This has been the craziest week. We are really surfing some interesting energetic waves. This is the advanced class for sure. And I really saw some people spin out this week. And I can totally understand why. We are in between eclipses. We're in between worlds. We are sifting through Mercury retrograde energies. We're in a portal within a portal within a portal. And I will tell you what I mean by that in just a second. But this is the advanced class. This is not for the faint of heart. There's a lot of memories and growing pains. There's a lot going on. We're still going through it, but we've been moving through the Mars opposite Pluto transit this week. That brought up a lot of emotion for people. It's a lot. This is requiring us to be so committed to growth. So committed to growth. And so brave. I really can't express that enough. This is really requiring us to get in our Jedi, like really locked into our truth and our mission. So hardcore. And if you're not, it's rough out there. So let's break down the energies and I'll explain where I'm getting all that from. Okay, so here's our new moon in Gemini. And of course, new moons are traditionally a time where we're starting this new cycle and we want to cast out our net of intentions to reel in new opportunities and see those intentions blossom over the coming months. And that's still the case. It's still a new moon. However, the ruler of this new moon solar eclipse is Mercury because Mercury is the ruler of Gemini. So Mercury in the chart is sort of like the spokesperson for the energies and how they're unfolding. And Mercury is retrograde. And Mercury retrograde, as we students of astrology know, is not really the time to begin things or commit to things. It's a time for gathering more information, and it's a time for waiting to see how things unfold. And this particular Mercury retrograde has been really potent because Mercury is in its ruling sign. And not only that, but Mercury is spending most of its retrograde journey in square to the planet Neptune. Now, forget about retrograde for a second. Mercury square Neptune, that aspect in and of itself is kind of like retrograde energies. Neptune is the planet of fantasy and illusion. Neptune is a trip. Neptune is imagination. It's fantastical. It's ethereal. It's the astral, but it's Alice in Wonderland. It's hard to tell what's real, what's not, what's true, what's false. And when Neptune is positively aspected, this is when we get the ideal. This is when we get the moment or the reality of our dreams. When Neptune is ill aspected, as it is during this Mercury retrograde by Mercury in square, we get the shadow of Neptune: confusion, deception, deceit, etc. So Neptune square Mercury is shrouding Mercury in the shadow of Neptune. And Mercury is our mind, it's our communication, it's the way that we interpret and process incoming information. And Mercury is the channel. Mercury is the messenger. So the information that's coming in, the conversations that are being had, the desire and the attempt to make choices is clouded at this time. This can be stirring up the shadow of Gemini as well, which is kind of low vibration conversations or gossip or miscommunication. I live on a community property. So lovely. It's really the dream, but man, this retrograde, there's been a lot of honestly quite hilarious Mercury retrograde miscommunications, but in some cases really led to some hurt feelings. And issues amongst landmates and, little he said, she said moments. And that's totally classic of this energy, but it's also like simultaneously outside of the buzz of day-to-day conversation, there's also this desire to know where we're going next, but it's very hard to know with this Neptune energy, which goes against what a new moon wants to do, which is to step forward with grace and certainty. So it's a challenging time, and we're going to take this even deeper and see that the new moon is at the North Node. The North Node is the flow of the collective evolution into the future. When you see those diagrams of like the ocean and then the little creature coming out of the ocean, turning into the ape, turning into the human, turning into the alien and all that, like that's like kind of one example of how North Node energy works. It's the flow forward, where we're going as a collective into the future. And the South Node gate is what's behind us. The new moon is at the North Node, so we're being asked to take one of those quantum steps forward. But then the ruler of the North Node is Mercury, which was retrograde, squared by Neptune. So it's like, oh my God. Do you see what I'm saying here? It's like God is saying, come on, let's go. You got to move. Here's your map. Go that way. And you're like, okay, okay. And then you start to go and you look at the map and it's in a language you don't understand. And the South Node, because of this confusion, the South Node is tempting right now. And anytime we have the North Node activated, we have the South Node activated too. The two come together, they're a package deal. You can't have one without the other. My clients know, people that have had sessions with me, that I really stress this a lot because we really want to understand that these are two gates and the past and the future are so connected. So when we have these eclipses, this is why I say that we're in between worlds and like the veils are thin, because we're going into the future, but simultaneously the past has the gate of the past is open. So there's this haunting kind of like nostalgic feeling. And the South Node can really pull us in. It's like a siren that's like, it's safe back here. Remember your old life and your old friends and your old beliefs. South Node in Sagittarius is beliefs. It's our truths, or what we think is the truth. Our dogmas, our religions, our ideas of the truth. If you watched my last video, I was sharing about my journey with my diet and after a very long journey with veganism, exploring adding animal products as I go on this journey with my health. And oh my gosh, I had so many crazy comments from people that were acting out that South Node Sagittarius, which I suppose I should have expected because it was an eclipse with South Node energies. But wow, yeah. Even though I'd spent that video explaining like I'm going to be vulnerable and I'm going to share, that this has been so hard for me, and I still got these really dogmatic listeners who felt like they needed to tell me that I was wrong and that they were suddenly the prophet that knew the truth. So there are some souls who, for reasons of their own and where they are at in their own evolutionary journey, they are slipping back into the South Node in Sag right now. They're slipping back because these times are so confusing and so warped and so helter-skelter that they are slipping back into this South Node in Sag. And portal within a portal within a portal. I think another reason for that is that when we look at the South Node ruler, it's in Pisces. Jupiter is in Pisces. Jupiter in Pisces is where things get psychedelic and idealistic. Jupiter is a benefic, so it's like really lovely. I love Jupiter in Pisces. And this is where we bloom and our kundalini raises through the chakras and our crown opens and we can experience magic. And this is also where the veils get really thin. Jupiter just entered Pisces, so the gate has been blown open into past Jupiter Pisces cycles. Last one was 2010 and the one before that was 1998. Have any of you noticed? Have any of you tuned in to certain things from those time periods floating back into your awareness? Sometimes this is that somebody from that era will reach out, reconnect, pop into your dreams, your memories. That playlist that you haven't listened to since 2010 suddenly pops back on your radar. That ex-partner calls you up out of the blue that you dated in 2010. The veils are thin, portals within portals within portals, and there's a nostalgia. Now, on the one hand, I think that this is important to look at these past teachers and these past times, these past identities. Isn't it crazy how many people we become in a single lifetime? I'm only 34 years old. I can't even fucking imagine when you're lucky enough to be in your 50s and your 60s, your 70s. Like, oh my God, so much wisdom, so much respect. And we so do not honor that in our current paradigm. And oh my God, that's one of my missions as an astrologer, is to change that, because every single decade is so profound in astrology. There's so many different upgrades that happen. Anyways, I'm getting off topic, but we change so much in a lifetime. And what these eclipse energies are teaching me that are at the North Node in Gemini is that when we are humble enough to allow for those changes to happen, that's when we level up in consciousness. When we're too afraid to let go of parts of ourselves that our ego has attached to, we don't grow very much in a lifetime. The ego is very afraid of change. This eclipse is asking that we let go and evolve. And the path in this here now moment is not clear. Just going to be honest. So I'm giving you the permission to not know the answers right now. Straight up. The answers are going to continue to unfold over the retrograde and in coming months. So Mercury goes direct on the 22nd of June. I wouldn't even attempt to know what the hell's going on for sure. If you have like important decisions you're trying to make, like myself, I'm trying to move right now. I wouldn't even like put the pressure to know until at least Mercury goes direct on the 22nd. This eclipse, however, because the sun is so close to Mercury and the sun and Mercury will actually conjunct over the next couple days during this eclipse, the light of the sun symbolically is lighting up Mercury in this eclipse portal. What does that mean? It means that the uncertainty of Mercury will be uplit. Now, in some cases, this might like magnify the uncertainty in some way in the events of the eclipse. In other ways, I think that it might bring in important information that leads to resolution down the road. But, you know, it's an eclipse. Eclipses are intense already. We've got a square to Neptune during the eclipse. So, like I said, there's definitely a weird vibe to this eclipse. What I'm feeling is that there's a lot of searching energy in this eclipse. There's a lot of curiosity. There's a lot of wonder. That's a good word, I think. Wonder. Gemini is the chameleon. It's mutable. It's flexible. I just got this vision of like a snake sort of slithering, winding, moving. That's sort of the path we're on right now. And it's been a challenging week emotionally because we're moving through Mars opposite Pluto. That was happening over the last few days. So Mars in Cancer, sensitive, emotional, safety-seeking Cancer, in opposition to dark, scary, destructive Pluto. I love Pluto, but let's be honest, when it's opposite to poor Cancer, it's looking pretty menacing. When Mars in Cancer feels threatened, when its safety feels threatened, it either gets emotional, goes into its inner child and wants to find a place to hide, wants to feel secure, or it defends itself, it gets snappy. It fights back. We had the moon in Aries square this aspect over the last few days. There may have been confrontations, there may have been emotional processes, Mercury retrograde misunderstanding, plus emotional sensitivity. Like, come on, this is just, this is a mess, to be honest with you. So this is why a lot of people, I think, are confused. Some people are regressing. And then we talked about this in my last video. I told you that we needed to pay attention to the media when Mercury went retrograde, and holy shit, was it a crazy week in the media. Lots being revealed, and we can expect that to increase during this eclipse. So definitely go to my Instagram during this eclipse, my Truther Instagram, because I will be posting lots in the stories. But also, we know that when Mercury goes direct, we'll see another wave as well. So what to do during this eclipse energy? Well, like I said, we know that things might not be super clear. But we do know that we're being asked to move forward and to be open to moving forward and to not fall back into past patterns just because we don't know where to go. We need to be committed to growth. We need to be brave enough to keep going, even if we only know what we're doing today. We need to be the student and the Jedi. Mercury is the student, open to learning, open to considering alternatives, open to a new perspective. And then simultaneously, dedicated to staying anchored in truth and seeing past the illusion. So that's another sort of very confusing aspect of all of this, is that we're breaking away from past truths, seeking new truths through a bunch of illusion. It's a lot. It's a lot. And that's why I'm like, we got to get into our Jedi and also be open to all of the healing that's happening on a personal level. This new moon solar eclipse is sextile to Chiron, the wounded healer, which is in Aries. Chiron in Aries is about wounds of the character, wounds of the personality. Chiron in Aries can be where we're self-centered or narcissistic or putting our own needs before the needs of others, not listening, talking over others, going too fast, impatience, rage, anger. Areas where the ego needs some work. So this eclipse, even though the way forward in certain ways may still be unfolding, this is a great doorway to commit to being humble enough to do some of that work on our personality that's been shown to us lately. So like I said, lots of searching energy this eclipse. Gemini, the archetype associated with short journeys. We are on the journey. We're in the advanced class, and there's still lots to come forward in the next few weeks as Mercury moves through its cycle. Last thing I'll say is that Saturn is in trine to this eclipse. So even though it might seem unclear, Saturn's presence there proves and supports the fact that underneath all the weird shifting, shape-shifting, chameleon, Gemini energy, there's a sturdy road that's being carved out. Saturn's presence is stabilizing, even if we can't really feel it through the haze of everything else going on. So these things that we're considering, they're important. This growth is important, but it just really requires that we're brave enough to keep pushing towards our highest growth. All right, you guys, thank you so much for tuning in. I'm going to link you to my regular Instagram for astrology stuff, where I put up new moon, full moon reports, and I do lots of Instagram in my stories. That's up there on the screen, as well as my website. And that's where you guys can reach out to me if you are interested in a reading. I am taking new signups for readings, coyotestarastrology.com. You can read all about what I offer there and reach out to me through there. Thank you so much for tuning in. Have a beautiful new moon solar eclipse in Gemini, and I will see you in the next video. Bye for now.